Hello, I hope you are well. Welcome to my new subscribers. So, today I'm going to try to print a little stamp in my coaster. I choose this little star. I choose a simple shape on purpose. So, I'm going to try to print it in my coaster, and I'm going to do it with alcohol markers. I've been asked lately about whether alcohol markers would stay on Jesmonite. So I have this little coaster here I made with leftover Jesmonite. This coaster is very simple. So I'm going to see, especially if when I put my waterproof sealant it stays well. I'll eventually put a small layer of resin after that, but I don't know yet. But for the moment I want to test with my sealant. So let's get started. What color? Well, it doesn't really matter. Come on, I'll take this one. And I hope that my markers work because they are a little bit old. So I'm going to run the color over the top of my star before I apply it to my coaster. You also know that to apply the stamps normally, at least in scrapbooking, we have some kind of plexiglass blocks. But, well, all my blocks are too big to fit in my little coaster, so I'll do it with my hands. And now I apply just on the protruding part, as if I was inking my stamp. Okay, I apply while pressing. Let's see. And yes, it works. So now I'm going to go over the lines freehand with my marker and then see what it looks like at the end. So now I've finished painting my lines, and now I'm going to make some little things in another color. Well, it's not grit hard. This is to test my alcohol markers on the Jesmonite and with my my waterproof sealer. So here I'm making small freehand drawings, and as you will see, it's far from being a work of art. Oh my gosh, it's really ugly, that I admit. Well, now I'm going to let this wonderful masterpiece dry, and we'll meet again for the next part in a second. So I was really ashamed with this one. It's very, very ugly. So I took another small round in Jesmonite, and I'm going to apply alcohol markers again, and then I'm going to add some Petite too. So I'm going to go through my markers and try to make something that looks a little bit better than my last one. So you know that alcohol markers, obviously it dries very fast. The Jesmonite is a little bit porous, so it works well. I know that. It's a little bit like resin, which is not porous, but resin holds alcohol markers very well. So if you want to make your colors mixed together with markers, you have to go very, very fast because alcohol markers dry very, very fast. And generally these markers have two tips, one fine and one wider, so that leaves you the choice when you have larger surfaces. So I'm going to do a little things like this, to put some colors and see how it holds. And then, after all, why not also try acrylic paint? So I took these iridescent colors from PBO, and then I drew with the big, very big, too big brush. I draw shapes. Here I don't apply too thick layers either, of course, but we'll see if it stays on well. I let you watch this masterpiece that is drawn before your eyes. That's it. I've finished my daubing, because I can't have another name than daubing. Now I let it dry for a few hours, and I'm going to see when I put my sealer on what it's going to look like. I let it dry for a few hours, and it's all dry. Well, acrylic dries quickly. So now I'm going to apply a first coat of sealer, and I'm going to see if my colors resist well or not. In theory, it shouldn't be a problem. I like when I apply the sealer, it wakes up the colors a little bit, and I think it's nice. So I apply with my makeup sponge without making bubbles, and I apply a first layer, a thin layer. Well, for the paint, no problem. As for the alcohol markers on this coaster that you see in the foreground, I have a small trace of marker. Yes. Well, I'll see what it looks like on the second coat. But the trace is really tiny. On this one, the green, which is a strong color, green is strong color, it didn't move at all. My sealer went on perfectly, and so there I have a small, very small trace. Now the paint, not at all, it didn't move, but you see it's very subtle as a trace, but I think it's also due to the fact that these coasters with the star, I did it 2 or 3 days ago, so the marker had plenty of time to dry, and the other one with those wonderful flowers and leaves that look like nothing, I did only a few hours ago. So I really think that to make sure that your marker doesn't bleed, if I can say that, you have to let it dry 24 or 48 hours to make sure that everything is well fixed. So I'm going to apply a second coat of sealant, and then it's the test for water. Okay, I've done my second coat. Here I don't know if you can see well, but I have some sheen from my sealant. I think it's because my markers didn't dry enough. I don't have this problem on the paint, or indeed on the other coaster. So let's move on to the water test. I spray water directly on it. A few spray, but I still put enough water. You can see that I have quite a few drops. And for this one, the same. I leave it on for a few seconds to be sure. It's better to wait a bit. And then I remove the water. I dab gently first, you never know, and then a little harder. It's perfect. nothing smudged. Let's see the other one. I hadn't sealed the edges. My Jesmonite is quite dry, so I'm not worried, but it's best to avoid getting the unsealed Jesmonite wet. This is logical, otherwise there is a risk of getting watermarks. So all is perfect, no traces on my paper towel. So it works well. I'm very happy. Normally you don't put water on this kind of item, but an accident can happen. So it's pretty safe to put a sealer on it. Well, I'm very glad I made this video for you. It may answer some questions you may have. And if you have a question, don't hesitate to leave me a comment. See you soon for another video, probably with resin. Yes, with resin. Take care of yourself. And now, bye.